Hey guys, Bjorkman from The Long Way here. I wanted to show you some insights into how we recorded our bass and drums last weekend. So we actually recorded the bass and drums in here, in this studio, and with some surprising results. Surprising because since I moved in here, I hadn't actually recorded drums, but we were pleasantly surprised with the results. So anyway, recorded the bass and drums together because we wanted to get a nice groove from both the bass and the drums together, and we wanted the feel of them grooving to build the rest of the song on top of. So having the rhythm section of bass and drums locked in was really crucial and important to us. So I wasn't too thorough with the documenting mic placement of it, so I apologize for that, but I'll tell you all about it though. So we used the Audix Dp7 kit for the drums, microphone kit, with the D6 inside the kick drum. We also used an outside mic for the kick, and since we didn't really have a second kick drum mic, we used my AKG D5, which is technically my live vocal mic. It picks up a lot of bleed from the other instruments, but it's nice to have a more rounded kick drum sound. So the snare was mic'd with an SM57 towards the center of the snare drum, and the toms had the D2s and D4s from the Audix kit. The overheads were placed in a stereo space pair over the kit, and I think the approach to the mix will be that the overheads serve more as cymbal mics than necessarily as overall kit mics. Because we also have a fat mic on top of the kick drum shell that's picking up a lot of the kit as well. Then we mic'd the corner of the room with my Audix CX112. I basically walked around the corner of the room until I found the thump of the kick drum and where the overall thickness was pretty good, and I placed the mic there, and you can really only see it in this picture of all of us here. So this is basically after our session, and we have the mic here in the corner behind Paul playing bass there, playing the Firebird, which is awesome sounding, and that's what I wanted to talk about next. I was really happy with how the bass came out. I plugged it into a DI box and then fed it into my Apollo, and then we actually used the Apollo slave to Ty's Octapre preamp, so we had 10 tracks to work with, and the snare and bass went into the Apollo. I ran the bass into the Apollo here and then into the API Vision channel strip plugin just for some EQ and compression on the way in. There's a little bit of compression. It was compressing about 2 to 3 dBs every time. I have a 4:1 ratio, like kind of an old sound, I guess you could call it. They have some settings, and I tweaked these until I thought this was what I liked the most. Then I have some EQ here, a little boost in the very, very lows. There's a small cut in 240 to reduce potential muddiness. I actually believe that I made the mistake as I was going to boost at 800, but I accidentally boosted at 8K, and then again at 2.5K for that definition in the strings. And I believe it came out really well. And I'll let you hear an outro to one of our newer songs, and one of the ones that are going to make it onto the album. This is just the bass and drums. And you can hear how I feel like the bass sounds full and thick while still having some high mids that'll make it easier to cut through the mix. So this is the outro to the song, and I'll let that play through into your weekend.